From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacañang, and here are the news. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. announced that the country now has a 51-day gasoline supply cushion as the government works to safeguard oil stockpiles amid the ongoing Middle East turmoil. The president said an initial 142,000 barrels were supplied this week. He further disclosed that the Department of Budget and Management, or DBM, has allocated 20 billion pesos for the purchase of up to 2 million additional barrels of oil, which equates to 10 more days of buffer supplies. The president previously declared that crude oil supplies is sufficient till June 30. To solve the energy crisis, the president issued Executive Order 110, directing the Department of Energy, or DOE, PNOC and PNOCEC to expedite fuel acquisition. He also signed Republic Act 12316, which allows for the temporary suspension or decrease of excise taxes on petroleum goods, subject to review by the Development Budget Coordination Committee, or DBCC. On electricity, President Marcos said that the Energy Regulatory Commission, or ERC, has temporarily suspended the wholesale electricity spot market, or WESM, beginning March 26 to stabilize power rates. As a long-term remedy, President Marcos emphasized the Camago 3 gas well in the Malampaya project, which has the potential to produce up to 60 million cubic feet of gas per day, thereby stabilizing electricity supplies and pricing.
Sa ilalim din ng EO 110, binigyan natin ang DOE, PNOC at PNOCEC ang kapangyarihan kumilos ng mas mabilis sa pagbili ng langis. At ginawa naman nila ito. Nag-order na ang PNOCEC ng 1.04 milyong bariles ng diesel. Meron ding 142,000 na bariles na i-deliver ngayong linggo. Ang natitira ay darating sa buwan ng Abril. Nai-release na ng DBM ang 20 bilyong piso para sa procurement ng hanggang 2 milyong bariles ng karagdagang langis. 10 araw ito nadagdag sa ating buffer stock. Sa ngayon, may 51 days tayo na supply dito sa bansa. Noong March 25, nilagdaan ko ang Republic Act number 12316. Itong batas na ito ay nagbibigay sa akin ng kapangyarihang suspindihin ang excise tax sa langis kapag kinakailangan. Magtatagpo ang DBCC ngayong linggo para ibigay ang kanilang pag-aaral dito sa bagay na ito sa excise tax. Sa bisa ng EO 110, may kakayahan na ang Department of Energy na magrekomenda ng aksyon sa ERC tungkol sa operasyon ng tinatawag na Wholesale Electricity Spot Market o WESM upang mabantayan ang presyo ng kuryente at maiwasan ang biglaang pagtaas nito. Simula March 26, pansamantalang sinuspindinan ng ERC ang WESM. Ibig sabihin, ipatutupad na ang optimal dispatch ng mas murang energy source tulad ng renewable. Magkakaroon din ng kontrol ang gobyerno sa presyuhan sa WESM. Kasalukuyan itong inaayos na ng ERC. At para sa pangmatagalang solusyon, matagumpay na nag-drill ang Camago 3 well. Nagpo-produce ito ng hanggang 60 million cubic feet ng gas bawat araw. Ang Malampaya gas ay nagkakahalaga ng 480 na piso kada kilowatt hour. Ang imported na LNG naman ay 10 piso at 30 sentimo. Malaki po ang pagkakaiba. At ito ay sarili nating yaman.
And is also implementing support measures, including as fuel and financial help for transportation workers, a 50% fare discount on Metro Rail Transit 3 and Light Rail Transit 2, and extended Libreng Sakay initiatives. Additional measures include toll discounts for public utility and food transportation vehicles, as well as a 1 peso Roro terminal fee for agricultural cargo beginning April 15 to cut logistics expenses.
Para sa mga mananakay, 50% discount na sa LRT2 at MRT3 para sa lahat. Mahigit 12 milyong karagdagang pasahero ang makikinabang dito. Patuloy din ang libreng sakay sa Metro Manila, sa Metro Cebu at sa Metro Davao. May temporary toll discount para sa mga jeepney, sa bus at sa freight food transport sa NLEX, SLEX at STAR. Simula April 15, piso na lang ang RoRo terminal fee para sa mga sasakyang may dala ng agricultural products.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. said more than 256,000 Metro Manila transportation workers have received 5,000 pesos in cash as part of the government's fuel subsidy scheme. The president made clear that an additional 1.28 billion pesos has been authorized for the program, with a nationwide distribution scheduled to begin on April 6. The fuel subsidy program is part of the government's response to rising global oil costs caused by tensions in the Middle East. President Marcos detailed that the government has allocated 2.5 billion pesos in fuel subsidies to more than 1.4 million drivers and operators countrywide. So far, hundreds of individuals have received fuel assistance totaling 300 million pesos, including public utility drivers and transportation firms. Complementary steps are also being implemented to reduce the stress on commuters and the transportation industry. These include a 50% fare discount for Metro Rail Transit 3 and Light Rail Transit 2, which will benefit over 12 million passengers, as well as extended libreng sakay programs in Metro Manila, Metro Cebu, and Metro Davao. To minimize operational expenses, toll discounts are being extended to jeepneys, buses, and food transport vehicles traveling on key expressways such as the North Luzon Expressway, South Luzon Expressway, and Star Toll. Starting April 15, the government will levy a 1 peso roll-on, roll-off, or RoRo terminal fee on vehicles transporting agricultural products to assist decrease logistics costs and stabilize food prices.
2.5 billion piso ang inilaan naman para sa fuel subsidy ng mahigit na 1.4 milyong driver beneficiary at unit. Nakatanggap na ng fuel subsidy ang 155 na driver at 55,252 na unit. Ito ay nagkakahalaga ng 300 milyong piso. Mahigit 256,000 na transport workers sa Metro Manila ang nakatanggap na ng 5,000 na cash assistance. May 1.28 billion pa na ibibigay. Magsisimula na ang nationwide na pagbigay sa April 6.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. announced that he will issue an executive order setting a 50 pesos per kilogram price cap on imported well-milled rice as part of attempts to stabilize food prices amid global uncertainty. The move is consistent with the suggestion of the National Price Coordinating Council, which oversees monitoring and stabilizing prices for basic requirements and core commodities. President Marcos said that prices for major goods, including rice, remain within suggested retail price ranges, although the government continues to monitor over 205 commodities. He emphasized that authorities are working with producers and retailers to delay price rises. The president also announced an increase of the government's subsidized rice program. The action comes as the government ramps up operations in response to the declared national energy emergency, which was caused by the impact of the Middle East conflict on global oil prices. Under Executive Order number 110 or 110, the administration is undertaking a whole-of-government response through the Uplift Framework, which includes food security, transportation assistance, and price stabilization initiatives.
Nagrekomenda ng National Price Coordinating Council na price cap na 50 pesos bawat kilo sa imported na well-milled rice. At ilalabas natin ang executive order para maipatupad na ito sa lalo madaling panahon. Pinalalawak din ang 20 peso rice program. May 627 na ng center sa buong bansa. Ito ay naging mas malawak dahil dati ang aming pinoprovide sa 20 pesos rice ay 600 tons. Ay ngayon umakyat na sa 2,000 tons dahil tumaas ang demand. Patuloy tayong nakikipag-usap sa manufacturer at retailer na hindi sila magtaas muna ng presyo hanggang sa susunod na buwan.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. reported that more than 3,300 Filipinos have been repatriated from the Middle East and more than 18,000 others have requested assistance due to ongoing regional concerns. The President also said that reintegration programs are in place to help returning Filipinos begin their lives in the country. As of March 27, 18,394 Filipinos in the Middle East had received assistance, which included food, temporary lodging, medical aid, transportation, financial support, and repatriation. He also urged on Filipinos to pray for peace throughout the Holy Week.
Mula March 5 hanggang March 29, nasa 2,551 na OFW na at 835 ng kanilang dependent ang nakauwi na sa bansa. Meron din tayong reintegration program upang masuportahan ang kanilang pagsisimula muli dito sa ating bansa. As of March 27, 18,394 na OFW na nasa gitnang silangan ay nabigyan na ng tulong gaya ng pagkain, temporary shelter, medical aid, transportation, financial support at repatriation. Habang may Pilipinong nangangailangan ng tulong, patuloy kaming magsusumikap na ipaabot ito. Hindi kami titigil sa pagkilos hanggang maramdaman ito sa bawat tahanan. Ngayong Semana Santa, sa ating pagninilay at panalangin, naway isama po natin sa ating dasal ang kapayapaan at kaginhawaan ng lahat. Bilang Pilipino, ipakita natin ang likas na pakikipagkapwa natin, maging mapag-unawa, maging mapagbigay, maging mapagmahal na Pilipino.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, or TESDA, is ready to provide free training and assessment to 8,000 overseas Filipino workers or OFWs who are expected to avail of the government's repatriation program amid the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. TESDA Public Information Office Director Florimel Joy Songsong said around 2,234 certificates of commitment were already given to the Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, with DMW reporting that around 413 of these have been distributed to OFWs. She said the workers need to show these certificates to TESDA offices or accredited schools to avail of the benefits. Meanwhile, she said around 6,000 certificates are being prepared in anticipation of the influx of returning OFWs. Repatriated OFWs may avail of training in various sectors such as construction, hospitality, caregiving, and information technology. TESDA is also facilitating entrepreneurship training to help returning workers start their own businesses and achieve financial independence. She expressed hope that OFWs will take advantage of this opportunity for their skills to be more globally competitive and future-proofed.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang announced that the Philippine government will commence diplomatic negotiations with Iran to assure safe passage of gasoline shipments via the Strait of Hormuz, a crucial global oil transit route. According to Palace Press Officer Claire Castro, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has asked the Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, to take the lead on the issue as part of measures to ensure the country's energy supply. The planned engagement comes amid rising geopolitical tensions in the Middle East, notably intensifying hostilities between Iran and its regional rivals, which have increased fears about potential disruptions to global oil supply systems. The Strait of Hormuz, which connects Iran and Oman, is one of the world's most critical energy trade choke points, with almost one-fifth of global oil supplies passing through it every day. Any disruption in the canal, whether caused by military escalation, blockades, or security threats, can have a huge impact on world oil pricing and supply. Energy importing countries like the Philippines are especially vulnerable to such shocks since they rely significantly on imported petroleum products to supply domestic demand. Castro said that no specific Philippine-bound vessels have been recognized as being at risk thus far. The Marcos administration has implemented a number of initiatives including diversifying fuel sources, securing existing supply contracts, implementing fuel subsidies in important industries, and imposing energy conservation measures throughout government offices. Meanwhile, Castro said that the government is still determining the total cost of its response to the situation. The palace emphasized that sustaining unhindered fuel supply is a critical priority as global uncertainty continue.
Yan po ay ipinag-utos na po ng Pangulo kay Secretary Tez Lazaro at ayon po kay Secretary Tez Lazaro ng DFA, makikipag-usap po siya sa ambassador ng Iran. Most probably po ay tomorrow. Kung hindi man po magkakaroon ng schedule tomorrow, by next week po. Wala pa po nabanggit sa atin si Secretary. Sa ngayon po ay hinihingi po natin lahat ng ulat ng mga ahensya. Most probably by next week, maibibigay po namin sa inyo.
Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Department of Tourism offered travel options amid the rising fuel price caused by the ongoing Middle East crisis, saying the country remains open for tourism and business. The DOT is encouraging the public to consider other value-driven travel options such as walking or biking tours, farm visits and community-based tourism activities, staycations, wellness and nature escapes within nearby areas, and sampling local cuisines. The agency said it would continue promoting the Philippines as a destination while supporting travelers in making travel decisions that best suit their needs. Tehran's continuous blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical maritime choke points, has sent energy markets into shock, with rising oil and jet fuel prices disrupting flights and compelling governments to implement various austerity measures. In the Middle East alone, which accounts for 5% of global international arrivals and 14% of global international transit traffic, the conflict in Iran is already impacting the travel and tourism sector by at least $600 million daily, according to the World Travel and Tourism Council, or WTTC. The WTTC warned that any disruption to travel flows from the Middle East quickly translates into substantial economic impact across the tourism ecosystem. Before the conflict, the DOT had classified the Middle East as a promising growth market, targeting to invite more of the high-spending visitors from the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, among others.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang disputed that the government has eased off on its investigation into suspected inconsistencies in flood control projects, stating that accountability measures are still ongoing. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said that the Marcos administration continues to focus anti-corruption efforts, which she believes are a crucial role in public trust in the president. Castro rejected suggestions that the matter is being overlooked.
Yan naman po talaga ang nais ng Pangulo na maipakita sa taong bayan na ang administrasyon ngayon ay lumalaban sa korupsyon. Ang administrasyon na ito ang siyang magpapaimbestiga sa mga abuso sa gobyerno. At yan po ang gusto manatili ng Pangulo sa isipan ng taong bayan. At yan po ang ayaw niya na mapatid. Gusto niya sana ay magtuloy-tuloy ito kahit hindi na po siya ang Pangulo. Sa mga nagsasabi ng ganyan, ang tanging natin masasabi, hoy, gising. Dahil alam po natin kung papaano po nagsumiti na po ang ICI ng kanilang report, di lamang po sa Ombudsman, kundi pati po sa DOJ. Ang ombudsman ay nagsasabi rin po habang sila itinatanong na patuloy ang kanilang pag-iimbestiga, pati po ang DOJ. Wala pong natutulog pagdating po sa pag-iimbestiga sa flood control projects. Ito ay tanging paninira lamang sa gobyerno. Hindi po tumitigil ang Pangulo para mapanagot ang dapat na mapanagot.
She explained that the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, or ICI, which the President established in September of last year, has submitted its conclusions to both the Office of the Ombudsman and the Department of Justice, or DOJ, which are still conducting investigations. Castro noted that the ICI's mandate was practically completed with the filing of its report, citing the sunset clause or functus officio provision in Executive Order Number 94, which established the group. She said that the President relied on the Commission's determination that it had completed its job. The palace official highlighted that the ICI served as a fact-finding body, with its suggestions currently being evaluated for prospective case development and prosecution. She said officials are now handling a large number of instances linked to the issue. Castro assured the public that investigations and prosecutions would be based on evidence. The palace reaffirmed that no one will be exempt from accountability as long as there is enough evidence.
Sabi nga natin at nabanggit mo ang Section 10, ang Sunset Clause, kung saan binanggit ang functus officio in Latin. Ibig sabihin, sila naman po ay nag-report at mismong si Justice Reyes ang nagsabi na na-accomplish na nila ang kanilang trabaho. At yun po ang magiging basihan. At kung sila man ay matatapos ngayon, yan po ang magiging basihan dahil yan po ang isinasaad sa Executive Order 94. Hinayaan niya po ang ICI na mag-decide kung ito po ay tatapusin ang kanilang trabaho base sa kanilang accomplishments. At nung nagsumiti na po ang ICI ng kanilang report sa DOJ at sa Ombudsman at siya mismo ang nagsabing tapos na po ang kanilang mandato. So, doon lang po nagre-rely ang Pangulo. Ganito po ang trabaho ng ICI, Fact-Finding Committee. Marami na po silang naisumite sa DOJ, marami na po silang nasumite sa Ombudsman. So ang ibig pong sabihin yan, hindi po natulog, nagpahinga, hindi nag-relax ang ICI. Ngayon po, lahat po ng kanilang nairekomenda, nakasuhan o for further investigation, nasa kamay na po yan ng DOJ at ng Ombudsman. Sa totoo lamang po, mukhang overwhelmed po ang Ombudsman at ang DOJ sa dami po ng mga kasong pinaparekomendang sampahan dito patungkol sa flood control project. So, hindi po masasabing yun lang ang naging trabaho ng ICI. Ang masasabi po natin, iyon ang naging trabaho ng ICI. Definitely, kahit sino pa yan, kung meron kinalaman, may ebidensya, hindi puro pamidya. Sabi nga natin, stop the drama. We have to start working. Marami po kasi nagdadrama sa media. Ang kailangan natin dito, ebidensya. Ebidensya na siyang magtuturo at siyang magiging basehan para ma-prosecute ang mga taong involved.
Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang urged detractors to desist from political attacks during Holy Week. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro made the request in response to attacks leveled against Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. and his administration. She said that personal criticisms are inappropriate given the current national issues. Castro also responded to Senator Amy Marcos' accusations about the president. The senator previously said that she is seeking forgiveness from her late father, President Ferdinand E. Marcos Sr., for not being able to watch over her younger brother, with whom she has had a political disagreement. Castro backed the president, claiming that his public and private behavior demonstrates discipline and accountability.
Atin lang sa ngayon, sa panahon ngayon, ay iwasan po natin sana ang pamumulitika. Kung wala po sila masasabing maganda at kundi paninira lamang, tumigil muna sila or tumigil na sila permanently. At makipagtulungan na lamang po sa administrasyon para sa ika-aangat ng ating bansa at ika-aangat din po ng bawat Pilipino. Ang basher po ngayon, sinasabi natin, pang sariling interes. Para po magiba, masira ang gobyerno. Hindi po yan na napapanahon sa mga kasalukuyan nangyayari sa ating bansa.
Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Finally, for Dateline Malacañang, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. said that the recently opened portion of the Central Luzon Link Expressway, or CLEX, will help cut travel time and transportation costs for rice, benefiting both farmers and consumers. President Marcos oversaw the 4-kilometer segment of the expressway in Cabanatuan City, which is part of an east-west Luzon route that connects Tarlac and Nueva Ecija. According to the President, the travel time between Tarlac and Cabanatuan City will be cut from 1 hour and 30 minutes to 20 minutes. He said that shorter travel times will result in lower gasoline use in the face of rising oil prices, as well as assist keep commodity prices stable, particularly rice, as Nueva Ecija, known as the Philippines Rice Granary, provides the majority of the country's supply.
Ito ay kasama ulit doon sa ating instruction na buksan lahat na maaring buksan na ng mga connector road para maging mas mabilis ang daloy ng traffic. At malaking bagay ito dahil ang dating ang biyahe na tumatagal dati ng 1 oras kalahati, 1 hour 15, 1 hour 30 minutes, ay magiging 20 minutes na lang, 20 minuto na lang. At malaking bagay ito dahil unang-una, alam naman natin ngayon, ang inaalala natin, ang konsumo ng krudo, ng gasolina ay sa pagbawas na pagtagal sa bawas ng tagal ng biyahe ay mababawasan din ang konsumo sa fuel. At malaking bagay ngayon yan at lagi nating inaalala yan. At meron pa rin isa pang malaking advantage itong ginawa nating pagbukas nito at pagbilis ng pagdaan ng traffic. Alam nyo naman, ang Nueva Ecija ay yan ang rice granary ng Pilipinas ngayon. At ito ay makakatulong bawasan ang transport cost. At sa ganun, sa pagbawas ng transport cost ay mananatili ang presyo ng bigas.
Road portion, which is estimated to service around 11,500 vehicles per day, will be toll-free until December to encourage use and alleviate traffic congestion along MacArthur Highway. The CLEX expansion is part of the administration's larger effort to access critical road networks, improve mobility, lower logistics costs, and mitigate the impact of rising gasoline prices caused by the Middle East crisis. It complements other recent infrastructure developments such as the Cavite C5 Link Segment 3B and a Nunaia Expressway exit as part of the government's unified package for livelihoods, industry, food, and transport, or uplift strategy to solve persistent energy and transportation concerns.
Dateline Malacañang.
That is all for today's Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this has been Bea Gaza-de Guzman.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.